This has been the hardest time for Israelis and Jews worldwide since the Holocaust, and we have seen a tremendous uprise in the number of people that contact us, and the number of people that write to us, that want to know more about the Lord, the number of people that come to a saving knowledge of Yeshua, of Jesus.
Is it really true that in 1967, there were fewer than 2,000 Jewish people on planet Earth who believed that Jesus is the Messiah? And is it really true that that number has grown from 2,000 about 60 years ago to 1 million? Why are Jews all over the world, but particularly also in Israel, curious about who Jesus is? Why are they watching videos with short-form testimonies hundreds of millions of times? Good evening and welcome to the Rosenberg Report. What's interesting to me about right now is we have covered Messianic pastors in Israel, all over Israel. How are they responding to the war? How are they handling it? But today, I just want to take a little bit of a break from focusing on war to focusing on the desperate spiritual need of my people, the Jewish people, and Israelis in particular. And I'm going to do that today with Dr. Erez Soref. He's the president of One for Israel, which is a ministry you're going to hear about. It's not only an evangelistic ministry and a discipleship ministry and a multimedia ministry. They also run a Bible college, the only accredited Bible college in Israel. And Erez is a friend, and here we are in Dallas together. Erez Soref, great to see you, my friend. God bless you.
Shalom, Joel. It's good to be with you.
I want to get right into this story. In the second section, I want you to talk about a little bit of your testimony.
Sure.
I want people to meet you and get to know the story. It's amazing. But I want to start with, when did you guys actually begin what is one of the most dramatic thing that your ministry is doing, of many, and the most dramatic moment in Jewish evangelism in 2,000 years? And that is the short-form testimony videos of Israeli Hebrew-speaking Jews who come to faith in Jesus, Yeshua, and Americans as well, myself included. But when did that idea start? I just want to give some context.
So we started noticing a shift. I mean, I was serving at the Bible college, and we started noticing a shift among our students. So we had, for quite a few years, first-generation believers in Jesus. You know, they just came to know the Lord, they came to the Bible college and so on. But then we started getting second generation more and more, and we said, well, what's happening to, new people coming in? And, most of us are the only believers in Yeshua in our families. We started asking the question, what's an effective way of telling our people? Now, this is 2008, 2009.
Right.
And, I don't come from a tradition where I often say, God told me, but God told me to build television studios. Now, I know nothing about television or building or anything of that nature.
You know a little more now than you did.
A little more now than then, but started praying about it. And sometime later, some of the graduates of the Bible college, younger than me, came and said, we're going to have here an internet revolution. We're going to have everybody with a smartphone, and everybody's going to get all their information from this wine
YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. And they said, and we need to start do all sorts of whatever our message is, in this case, the gospel, package it in a media kind of format. And that's really was kind of how the whole thing birthed. And I think we have met.
So that was around, you're saying 08, 09, 2010?
Right. By the time it happened, it was 2010 when we met. And I think the Joshua Fund.
So the Joshua Fund, our ministry that is to bless Israel and our neighbors, right? We raise money from American and Canadian Christians all over the world to invest in ministries. And we saw this as one of those really fascinating startups. Now, the Bible College itself wasn't a startup. That had been around for 15, 20 years at that point. But this idea of maybe there's enough internet bandwidth, maybe short-form video, you can actually watch video, and it's not like the old AOL, that dial-up version where you couldn't see anything. So we started investing. We helped you build the studio. And
that's right. You helped
us
build it.
Really, we did not expect this investment, as it were, it's to take off the way it did.
Yeah, I think in that respect, I think we turned your investment to a unicorn, as we say.
No, this is, if we were in the high-tech business as opposed to the gospel, this was the blowout investment.
And so anyway, the point was to share somebody sitting in front of a camera, just sharing their journey. And I think we live in a day and an age where when somebody just tells their story, people listen. I mean, it's just a personal account.
So in Hebrew, so there's English versions of this. I've done my own testimony. My dad's done his testimony. Dozens and dozens and dozens. Yeah, but in Hebrew. So where are we now in terms of the number of views of the videos that you guys have produced in Hebrew of these testimonies?
The number of videos produced?
No, the number of views of these videos.
Yeah, so, Israel is a country of 9 million people.
Yeah.
And the viewership is in the hundreds of millions. This is Hebrew only. So just imagine how many stadiums we need to fill and how many times. And so we defined the goal initially as saturation. Nobody heard about Jesus. Right. How can we help people here?
Right.
And that was a tremendous initial engine.
Are we at 100 million? We're at 150 million?
About 150.
150 million. 150.
Yes.
Now in
English,
more than
that actually.
But in English then, and you guys have partnered with some other people, but that was also a driver because you were trying to reach Jews outside of Israel. And where are we at that point? Because I lost track around 250 million, but I think it's higher than that.
It's a lot more than that. It's close to 450 million.
450 million. So, okay, now just to be clear, let's go back to Hebrew. That doesn't mean, obviously, that there are 150 million Hebrew speakers. What it means is you are creating Pringles. And these are videos of people like, they can't eat just one. An Israeli Hebrew speaker who watches a video of an Israeli Hebrew speaker explaining why they accepted Yeshua when they didn't even believe it. They never even heard of Yeshua. And they're like, there's no way. And then they show it to a friend and they're like, can you believe that? That's crazy. That's whack. They're saying in Hebrew, they're like, all right, well, no, there's another one. No, there's another one. There's another. Because the idea that Jesus or Yeshua is for us, for our team, is such a revolutionary, radical concept. And when they find your channels, or you find them through Google ads or whatever, it's a stunning moment of, there's no way. What is happening to these people? It's amazing. As people get to know you, Erez, I want them to get to know you because they're starting to get a sense of what One for Israel does. But you're not somebody who is the son of a pastor, son of a theologian. Like, you were a secular Israeli guy after the army, kind of traveling around the country trying to get your head cleared. What happened? How did you find Yeshua?
How come nobody told me before? I mean, my family, my neighbors, my friends, my people, nobody knows. Nobody tells us. The best kept secret among the Jewish people. I was born to a Sephardic Jewish family. My family are Babylonian Jews on my mom's side and Sephardic Jews from Spain on my dad's side. My mom would try to drag my brothers and me to synagogue. Maybe it had something to do with our people thousands of years ago. But God was very, very far away. In school, we would study the Old Testament from 1st grade to 12th grade. We study it as history of our people, as wisdom literature, something that one just needs to know being Jewish, but not as the Word of God. After my military service, like a lot of Israelis, I decided to travel the world. Initially in Southeast Asia, a lot of Israelis are going there for the mysticism trail and the drug trail. I wanted to understand what they believe, and so I was exposed to some Hindu and some Buddhist literature. I got to realize that there is a spiritual reality, but that spiritual reality I saw was very, very scary. It was negative, it was dark, but it was very real. I ended up in Amsterdam, Holland, and I came there with merchandise to sell because I ran out of money. It was there that I've met a group of very enthusiastic young believers in Jesus. And I said, well, I'm Jewish and we don't believe in Jesus. And they said, why? Jesus is Jewish. And I said, I'm not sure why, but I'm sure we don't believe in Jesus.
After about a year in Southeast Asia and in Europe, I met a group of believers in Jesus for the first time in my life. And, they told me that Jesus changed their life. And I said, great, good for you. I mean, bless your heart.
And nothing to you.
It's an expression I learned from you. And
well, in Texas, they don't actually mean it. It's a little bit of an evangelical curse. Like, she's dumb as a post, bless her heart. She's ugly as sin, bless her heart. But actually, some of us mean it, So
they told me, well, no, he can change your life. And I told them, my life is
need change.
Good. Yeah, I'm good. But what was amazing thing, what happened to me, in fact, is one of the most crucial missional tasks of the church that I think is, as I learned over the last 30 some years, is the most neglected. And it is to cause the Jewish people to jealousy. And the way this happened in my case is that many of them young Christians, not super sophisticated, not particularly knowledgeable with the Word of God, but they were very enthusiastic about God and His Word. And as I saw their life, and I heard how they prayed, which, by the way, I think as believers in Jesus, we get used to it, that we talk directly to God.
Right.
Not common. No. Not in the Jewish world, not there. Any
a lot of road for that. Memorized prayers. Speed prayers often,
No, definitely.
How quickly can we say this?
So through their relationship with God and through their love for the Bible, and to my amazement, to the Hebrew Bible, I remember I asked them, why do you read the Hebrew Bible? I mean, don't you guys have the New Testament? I mean, that's our book. And it was through that I was brought to jealousy, so to speak. And eventually I told myself, Erez, you're a hypocrite. You need to read the New Testament. Because I would read other books.
You're in Europe at this point?
I am
right?
in Europe.
Yeah,
in Europe.
Amsterdam maybe?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Good memory. And so over a season of 2 to 3 months, particularly as I started reading the New Testament, I really like Jesus.
What did you expect when you opened up the New
That's a
Testament?
great book. So first of all, I discovered I had a prejudice.
Okay.
And it took me a couple of weeks since I decided to read it until I actually read it.
Okay.
I expected, I guess, horrible things about the Jews or something.
Yeah, I mean, some Jews.
Nobody ever told me.
I expected it to be an anti-Semitic handbook.
Yeah.
And I found a genealogy, page 1, like,
Exactly.
this is all Jewish.
Exactly. Abram, David, I mean, these are people, the Gospels happen in Israel and places I've been to many times. And as I said, the most critical thing, I think, for me and for any Jewish person that reads the New Testament, I just fell in love with Yeshua, with Jesus. I mean, he wasn't like other religious leaders, and so I felt very drawn to him. Making a long story short, through reading the Bible, and eventually I prayed to God. I just talked to God for one of the first time in my life, I guess. Asked him to reveal to me if Yeshua truly is the Messiah. I had a spiritual experience with the Lord, and I thought I was the first and only, Jewish person since Paul or something to make this great discovery.
Yeah.
And so in the following days and weeks, I noticed that 2 things happened. One, I was hungry and thirsty to read the Bible, which was very strange for me. I mean, I liked reading, but not the Bible. And the second thing was that I started getting a lot of zeal and passion, thinking, how come I've been in all those places so many times and I've never heard this?
Yeah. Meaning you live in the land of the Bible.
Absolutely.
And there even the Bible is taught in the Israeli
the Hebrew Bible,
school system, the Old Testament.
And so I became very zealous, you could say, enthusiastic. I said, I need to tell my parents, my friends, and I was very enthusiastic about all my friends becoming believers in Jesus, embracing this great discovery.
Did not take it that well, right?
I mean, being a parent now,
a psychiatrist or something like that.
They did, yeah. So
you must be crazy.
The religious part of the family sent me to the rabbi.
Okay.
The more secular part of the family sent me to the psychiatrist, who actually declared to be sane, by the way.
Okay.
But he ran. I mean,
that was a fair guy.
Should have asked that in writing. But
I believe them.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think many, not so much, but it's been a great season to be able to share the gospel in a way that our people can understand, they can relate to. It doesn't mean that everybody agrees. And of those 150 million views, it doesn't mean that everybody embraces the gospel. However, many people, I would say about 2/3 of the people writing to us, contacting us, texting us, do want to know more. Because it's an us and us dynamic.
Yeah.
And so now about a third are quite negative.
Sure.
I mean, we're traitors, we're terrible people.
Well, that alone is a reversal from 2,000 years of history, right? You would have been
repeating
98-2, maybe 99-1 to hostility and resistance.
Okay.
The left, what you found is a level of curiosity among Israeli Hebrew speakers as well as Jews worldwide that I don't think any of us really thought of, because, and where else were Jews going to turn? Most don't want to walk into a church, even Israelis. Where would you turn? To the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, to all the different tourist sites. That doesn't seem like a place that an Israeli thinks they're going to find answers, where would they go? Whom would they ask? Do you see any change dynamic? Are Israelis more interested, or are they in such a shelter, brace for impact type mode that they're not talking about the Lord, or they're not? What are you seeing on your team?
When the war just began, there was one sociologist from one of the colleges in Israel that came on radio, on TV, and she predicted that, like it happened after the 1973 Yom Kippur War, that people turned to religion, they turned to God. She predicted it's going to happen during and after this war.
Okay.
And I texted her, I don't know if she ever got it, I said, I agree with you. We see that happening. And, when do we call upon God? As people, just the human experience, we call upon God when things are not going well. And as you said, and I 100% agree, this has been the hardest time for Israelis and Jews worldwide since the Holocaust. And we have seen a tremendous, tremendous uprise in the number of people that contact us, and the number of people that write to us, that want to know more about the Lord, the number of people that come to a saving knowledge of Yeshua, of Jesus. And so just a tremendous, tremendous upkeep. And I will say one more thing. I think Israelis have seen during this war that the only friends that Israel has are the evangelical Christians. Nobody else is our friend anymore. And this is why I think our tagline, as you know, from One for Israel, the best way to bless Israel is with Jesus. And so when we give the people that are suffering, when we give them a cup of water in the name of Yeshua, we start a relationship with them. And so, feeding the hungry Jewish people, there are not many actually. I think it's portrayed quite dramatically in some places. The goal.
In other words, during humanitarian relief, in addition to sharing the word of God, sharing the gospel.
Exactly right. It's positive.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is to have a relationship that will enable them to have, the eternal, spiritual food, eternal hope in Yeshua. And that's been our experience far and wide throughout the last 18 months.
Do you think as the war, if we get to the point which we hope and pray that we do, where things subside, where things get quiet, do you expect that spiritual interest to decline, or do you think that something has gotten sparked that will go? Because basically we got a country that's facing trauma.
Yeah. Oh,
and so people are going to need healing, but maybe they will turn their ears away from God, or what? Do you have an instinct?
Yeah, hard to say.
You actually have more data and intelligence than almost any ministry, maybe than any ministry in Israel, because of all these different streams of sources that you're watching.
It's hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised, again, just by the human experience that, we call upon God when things are really rough, and then when things calm down, there's a lot of jokes about that, which we don't have time for. But
all Christians are just old.
So I think it's going to decline a little bit.
Okay.
But, the movement of the group of Jewish people that are followers of Yeshua keeps on growing. And so I think now people under the age of 35 in Israel all have heard, some with more concern, some with joy maybe, that there's a growing group of Jewish people claiming Yeshua, Jesus, as our Messiah. And I think that's going to continue.
Wow. I think we're in an Amos 9:9 moment where all Israel, God said prophetically, I will shake the whole house of Israel among the nations. So I don't believe Israel is under judgment. I believe that it was Satan that came and sent Hamas in. God sovereignly allowed it. And I do think a major reason, probably the prime reason, is to shake the complacency of Israel. We have abandoned even the concept that the Lord is my shepherd, right? Our greatest king wrote this, Psalm 23, but most Israelis don't care about the shepherd. They don't think they need a shepherd. And it's because we have forgotten overall that there are ravenous wolves, roaming the countryside trying to kill us. We got complacent because we have 4 Arab-Israeli peace treaties. We're secure. We've got the Iron Dome. We've got a great Air Force. And I think God lets the country get shaken as he promised to do so.